The batch notes are here, the batch notes are here, time to freak out! Hey there, this is your pal Pallie, and welcome back to Overrated. This is a bonus episode, number 18. I caught a whiff of patch notes, and I said, I'm hopping on top of this. And today I would like to talk about the Hunter talents and Hunter changes, because that's the character I'm most familiar with. That's the class I'm most familiar with. So, I wanted to hop on this, get you guys some initial impressions, some first looks at what's in the patch notes for Warlords of Draenor. It just came out. There's a lot of initial stuff. And don't freak out, because I'm sure the numbers are totally off. And there's going to be lots of changes from now until it comes out, whenever it comes out. So don't panic on any of this kind of stuff. Don't pay attention to any of the numbers. They are just a baseline. We're going to start here. And let's get into it, because this is lots of cool and interesting stuff. So what's the goal for Hunters for Warlords of Draenor? Well, Blizzard has stated some interesting goals for us. The main one being they want Hunter specializations to feel different. What they said was, in Mists, Beast Mastery certainly felt a little different from Survival and Marksmanship. Beast Mastery was all about the pet. Certainly your pet was, 40 to 50% of your damage. If you didn't manage it well, you weren't a great Beast Mastery Hunter. If you did, you're all good. For Survival and Marksmanship, they sort of felt like, yeah, you also have this pet, but you do some other stuff. And it's not that much different. So I don't know. And they just felt the same, or felt similar. They felt a little bit like Beast Mastery because you had that pet, but whatever. So their goal was to make the specs feel different or play different. And again, we won't know which one's going to be the best, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff until the numbers tuning, which is going to be like right before the thing comes out. So don't freak out when you see numbers here about 30% and this is buff 10%, this is whatever. It's cool. There's a cat back there. It's cool. It's cool, man. So anywho, let's take a look first at the talents. Now this is something we had a little bit of a preview with when we had that actual gameplay footage. So no worries here. There's some stuff that I called. Not to brag. No. Actually some stuff that was identified. And there's some interesting stuff that we didn't get out of the actual gameplay footage that we had before. So, here's the talent calculator. As you can see, most of the stuff is pretty similar from what is there now. The one big change that we noted before in the gameplay video was that Link's Rush is gone, Stampede is there. This is one change that I identified and said Stampede is not a baseline thing. It's going to be a talent. So, this sort of points to what I was saying about in that previous video. Blink Strikes is going to be sort of that passive, I just want to do my damage and not have to worry about clicking extra cooldown buttons. Murder of Crows is going to be that, burst for 30 seconds every 2 minutes kind of thing. That sort of smaller burst, but more frequent cooldown. And Stampede is going to be that big, yeah, I gotta do some major damage right now for 20 seconds or whatever, or we're in execute range, we're in kill shot range. Yeah, give me Stampede, pop my potion at the same time, all that kind of jazz. So, cool stuff. Sort of called that one in terms of where they were going with it. Nifty. So, let's talk level 100 talents. Now, the first thing to identify is something that we didn't see in the actual gameplay footage, which is that the talents, at least some of them, one of them actually, changes per spec. So in Beast Mastery, you have that versatility one that we talked about, where your pets basically do a bit more damage, and your pet also gains all of the exotic pets sort of gain the abilities of all the other exotic pets. So you can do Roar of Sacrifice, you can do Last stand, you can do all the other jazz. Focusing shot and flaming shots are still the same. Basically, flaming shots is your arrows do some extra dot damage. They're light on fire. Okay, cool. Or not actual dot damage. It looks like just extra fire damage. Okay, cool. Passive. Focusing shot replaces your steady shot and cobra shot. That's more of like I want to manage my focus in a different way, so this plays a little different. It gives you a lot of focus back as opposed to the, was it 12 or 17 focus you get back from, steady shot and cobra shot? This gives you 50 focus back, but you have to actually stand still for it. So your class plays a little different because you're no longer I'm just running around, I can go wherever I want to, I'm a hunter type deal. You actually have to stand there and cast. So, your choice on that one. But, anywho, Beastmaster had the versatility one, which we saw in the preview. What we didn't see was this talent that they had actually talked about at BlizzCon as to what survival hunters would get. This is actually the same for survival and marksmanship. So it's Lone Wolf, which is increase all damage dealt by 30% when you don't have a pet. Ermagerd, you do more damage when you don't have a pet. Hey, that's an interesting thing. Again, don't focus on the 30% number. Yes, I know currently survival pets do 15 to 20%, so this would be overpowered if it was in there. No. Stop. This is just a baseline. They can adjust it to sort of match the other talents. But it does mean something interesting. You will no longer have a pet as a hunter. So, why do you have a pet? Well, it's sort of a baseline hunter thing. And your raid likes it when you bring interesting buffs and stuff. Okay. Is that a concern? As I talked about in a previous video, months back, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you're a small, sort of casual group, small, sort of not, very progressed group, and you're going through the new normals and heroics where it's sort of a flexible mode and they're, normal mode is now the difficulty of flex mode currently in Siege, then maybe this is actually a bigger deal because maybe you only have 10 or 12 people that are on for raid here and there. So, the mage isn't here this week. We need crit strike. Can you bring that? Yeah, okay, I'll get my pet for that. And then there's no possibility for you to use that talent because the raid needs crit. But if you're in a sort of bigger group, they've talked about 25 or even 30 people being in the normal and heroic modes, which will be flex, then who cares if you have a pet? Because your buffs are likely covered by everyone else. And certainly when it comes down to a mythic group, you're going to be tuning your group to make sure you have all the buffs covered. It might be that there might be some combination of we really do need you to bring that boar or something because we need this. I don't know. There's lots of thunder in the background. It's cool. So, this will be an interesting discussion point for hunters, I'm sure, because hunters quintessentially had a pet. Now they have the possibility not to. Again, numbers we'll see. What else is on this talent calculator is actually the start is these perks. Warlords of Draenor perks. That's this stuff down here. This is two things. One, this is to address a sort of general concern with the leveling process for the last few expansions, whereby it wasn't as big of a deal in Wrath, but it was a big deal in Mists of Pandaria, where when you leveled up from 85, 86, 87, 88, all you really got was more stamina, more agility, more whatever stat, and that's it. So you sort of grew bigger. What they wanted to address was sort of that feeling you got back in the Wrath days and earlier days with the bigger talent trees, where you could, increase this little thing by 1%, or this, you need, oh, I got another talent point, I can dump that in this thing, now I get this. So this is sort of a hybrid approach to talent trees plus those little extra bonuses. What these are for every level you go, so you go 91, 92, 93, 94, etc., you get one of these perks. And some of it is just straight up, you do more damage with X. So, improved arcane shot, 20% more damage. Yay, cool, your arcane shot hits harder. Some of it is actual changes to how your class plays a little bit. So here's empowered explosive shot for a survival hunter. Increases the duration by 1 second. It's 4 seconds, no, 2-ish, whatever. Whatever it is now, add a second. That means it ticks a little bit harder. Interesting. So it's a bit better. Improved black arrow, straight up damage bonus. Here's an interesting one. For a survival hunter, it reduces the cooldowns on all your traps by 50%. So if explosive trap is, say, a 30-second cooldown or something at a base, maybe it's 20, I don't know. Anywho, it would be like 10 or 15 seconds. So it becomes more of like not a flavor thing to throw out there, but it's sort of this might become an actual rotational ability. And there's actually some more changes coming further with respect to survival, at least, that may point that direction. So, anywho, I'm not going to show you all of these, but what's interesting is that per spec, they are different. So, on the Beast Mastery side, Focus Fire does some different stuff. Kill Command is better. Your pets just are straight up 20% better. Improved Beast Cleave. So now when you do the Beast Cleave stuff, it's 25% better. So it sort of points to Beast Mastery is all about the pets. It's all about, hey, pet, do good stuff with the pet. Here's some stuff that's talking about that. Marksmanship has some other, interesting pieces. One of the most interesting perks, I think, is adding an additional enhanced shot, which adds an additional 5-yard range to all your attacks with a baseline 40-yard. So 40 yards is pretty much everything, or for the most part. Now you can be 5 yards further back. So maybe there's some fight, or maybe there's some interesting mechanic whereby it would be good for you to be just a little further back than everyone else because of whatever. I don't know. Interesting, but it sort of gives you a different flavor of how a marksmanship hunter might play rather than survival. It's probably not that in itself is probably not enough, but anywho, you can see the different focuses per spec. Now, did they do more? Yes, they did a lot more. And there are blogs, and there's 2 sections at least. There's actually more sections of these patch notes. These patch notes are freaking huge. So read up on them, go through the general changes, go through all the features and all that kind of stuff. I'll probably make this week's Saturday overrated video talk more about the general changes themselves rather than, hunter specific. But for hunters at least, there's a number of sections where they talked about what abilities were taken away, how PvP is changed, and then sort of their general approach. So as I said, here's sort of their general approach, and I've mentioned some of these pieces already. But let's dive into some of these interesting pieces. They removed some things and made them only survival. Or at least, that's what I'm going to focus on at the moment, but we'll talk all of them. So, for example, Arcane Shot is no longer available to marksman hunters. They don't mention whether it's available for Beast Mastery, although in the other part of the patch notes it says Arcane Shot's only survival. I don't know. Maybe it feels like they've done a bit more work on survival and sort of like pulled it out and said, alright, this is this, and now we're going to sort out Beast Mastery and marksmanship here in a minute. That kind of deal. But anywho, there's a lot. You can see where they're going with a lot of this at this point. But anywho, Arcane Shot's not there. This is the more interesting change down here. Serpent Sting and Improved Serpent Sting have been removed. And then further on, basically, this talks about Serpent Spread is sort of like baked in to Arcane Shot for survival hunters only. So, overall, this means Serpent Sting, the spell, which you probably have bound on your keyboard, is not there anymore. If you hit Arcane Shot as a survival hunter, it will apply the Serpent Sting dot and do a bit of damage. That will be presumably nature damage, like it was. Interesting. Think about, if you've played Beast Mastery or Marksmanship, what other buttons you have bound. On Beast Mastery, you sort of have Serpent Sting, Arcane Shot, Cobra Shot, Kill Command. That's your basic stuff. Now you don't have Serpent Sting. What? Now you have like Arcane Shot, Cobra Shot, and Kill Command? So now you have like 3 buttons? We're rapidly approaching the mage, 2-button, 1-button champ type stuff. No, we won't be there. We won't be there. We'll stand proud. Stand proud. No, but for survival at least, what it feels like is they are starting to become the dot spec. So, why do I say that? Well, Black Arrow is still there, still survival only, of course. They did some stuff with lock and load, which basically says you will always get a lock and load proc, and you'll get, 1, whatever. The actual mechanics aren't there. I don't know. I'm not quite sure exactly what they're doing there, but I think they're basically saying lock and load will always proc off of a Black Arrow, no matter what. When it does it, you don't know. Fine, whatever. But you have Black Arrow. Now you have Serpent Sting, which is baked into Arcane Shot. So you have 2 dots going. And then a third change, which is actually in a different section here, is Explosive Trap now places a periodic damage effect on the target within the radius of the explosion. So if you don't know Explosive Shot, that's probably like just about most other hunters, because it's fairly useless unless the boss is actually standing there or the ads are always standing in a certain place, because you shoot it and then the ads come out or something and they trigger it and then the ads get tanked way over here. What? And then it's just sitting there exploding on the ground. Cool. But it's not doing any damage for you because it's over there. What this change has done is said, oh, when it explodes, anything in its area gets another dot. Another dot. Hey. Oh, wait, and let's combine this with the talent or the perk for survival hunters where all traps are, the cooldowns on traps are reduced by 50%. It's adding up here. Black Arrow, Serpent Sting, an Explosive Trap dot. Survival sounds like it's going to be a sort of dot-ish class. It's not going to be, a true warlock, whatever, here's my dot spells or whatever. But it's kind of heading that direction. And traps, it sounds like, will be a major piece of it. And other specs are not going to play like that. So, let's go to Beast Mastery. There's not a lot of actual direct, like, this change is related to this or whatever. But Beast Mastery sort of, it's probably like, they probably set it aside and said, okay, Beast Mastery is probably good being, 3-button-ish type thing. We're maybe going to do some more interesting stuff with pets at some point. Now, what they've done on the PvP side is they've reduced a lot of the crowd control for pets. Like, most of it's gone, essentially. You can read the changes there, and I'm not going to be any sort of authority on what they've done PvP-wise for hunters, but there is a section about that. But, yeah, go there for that. But what does marksmanship's feel? What does that look like? So, again, when we were looking at the talent calculator, we were looking at marksmanship. It was all about, the aim shot and kill shot still there. Enhanced shot, you're further back, all that kind of stuff. So, where are they going with marksmanship? I didn't get a good enough sense of what it was. The only thing they sort of mentioned here was primary focus dump for marksmanship is aim shot, because arcane shot is only there for survival, although it doesn't actually say that in the other pieces of the notes, so I don't know. Maybe marksmanship plays about aim shot, I don't know. We'll see if there's more information that comes out in other blogs and in tweets, and I'm sure there will be a lot of follow-up information about this and a lot of, questions answered by developers. But, yeah, there you get some sense of survival is this, survival is the dot class, dot spec, beast mastery is the pet spec, marksman we're going to do some other stuff with. Interesting. Maybe they're getting down towards that. So, what else? There's a lot of quality of life improvements and a lot of little things baked in there. So, for example, aspect of the hawk is no longer like a stance. There's no longer changing between the different aspects. Yeah, maybe it was sort of a, quintessential hunter thing to have the stances and have that all stuff. But the stance is now over. It's dead. It's gone. Aspect of the hawk is sort of baked in. If you want to talent into the Iron Hawk to get the damage reduction, you probably will. There you go. The aspect of the pack and cheetah are still there, but they're just sort of like extra buttons that you have on the side when you want to actually use that utility. So, fine. Cool. That's all happy skippy. There's some stuff about dismissing pets, no longer line of sight, all that other kind of jazz. That's, again, quality of life. Back on the actual talent side, or back on the actual sort of ability side, we no longer have a taunt, so we can't distracting shot anything. That kind of sucks, because you like to be able to, say, taunt an ad that's loose and kite it for a while until a tank gets there. Now you can't. I don't know. Whatever. Hunter's Mark has been removed. Again, quality of life. Hunter's Mark was applied with a lot of things, and if you had it there on the pull, that was sort of the only time you cast it. So, again, reducing ability bloat, that's fine. Hunter's Mark was never sort of like a, ooh, I missed doing my Hunter's Mark. No, because it's baked into everything. Whatever. Here's one that we didn't talk about yet with respect to differentiating specs. Kill shot's not there for survival hunters. So Beast Mastery and Marksman still has kill shot, and in fact one of their actual perks is that kill shot can be used on targets that are 35% or less health. So kill shots now could be used in lots more pieces of the fight. Interesting. What else? Let's talk cooldowns, because we haven't gone there yet. Rapid fire has been removed. Where'd our 3-minute cooldown go? It's gone. So, this actually brings up an interesting dynamic. Depending on what talents you actually pick, you might not have any cooldowns to use, besides a pot. So, if you went with, say, Thrill of the Hunt, Blink Strikes, and say Flaming Shots, you wouldn't have any actual buttons to press that changed the way you played. It would all sort of be basic and built into everything. So Blink Strike sort of just makes your pet do a bit more better stuff that hopefully works out for you. Thrill of the Hunt is this proc type thing, so you get the proc, you hit it. Yay, okay. But depending on the talents you pick, we might be out of cooldowns. So that's really interesting. Most likely, again, we don't know the numbers, but most likely what it'll end up being is that the more passive talents will probably end up a little bit lower than the actual active talents. If you have good skill at playing the class and playing the talent specifically, probably the passives will be here, the more actives will be just above it. So, for example, using Fervor or Dire Beast will probably end up being better than Thrill of the Hunt on most fights. This level 75 tier, this tier 5, is how probably I described it on a fight-by-fight basis. You may just want to make sure you do a steady amount of damage. You might want to have a 2-minute cooldown that can be used more times during a fight for sort of higher burst points, or you might want Stampede, which is a big burst at a certain point or a couple points during a fight. So you sort of have that pick there. And then, level 100 talents sort of are different things. But anywho, with rapid fire being gone, for survival hunters at least, that's it for cooldowns. For beast mastery hunters, you'll still have bestial wrath, but that's it. If you choose those talents, if you go that path. So, real interesting. Don't know how that'll feel. I think a lot of hunters will probably still want to pick more of the active talents so that they can sort of choose when, or sort of sculpt their DPS around the encounter, or big burst times, or hey, I just need I need a good bit of DPS throughout the fight, whatever. But interesting with rapid fire being gone and Link's Rush and those types of things. We might be a cooldownless class at some point. Again, you got pots, and you can talent into more actives, but interesting, very interesting. What else? Quality of life improvement, revive pet and mend pet are now one button. So if you have a live pet, it'll use mend pet. If your pet's dead, it'll res it. Okay, cool. Sounds good. What else? Rabid is, even more on the cooldown side. Rabid is sort of a 1.5 minute cooldown on most of your tenacity pets. That's gone too. So there's not a 1.5 minute cooldown even. Real interesting. Now, this is the sort of first pass at things, and this is an alpha that's out there, which, please get me into the alpha, someone. I can be friend and family to Blizzard, please. I'll be friend, please. No. Anywho, when we get to beta, presumably 2 to 6 weeks or something along those lines, we'll try this stuff out and see where they're at. I'm sure there'll be a lot more data mined information in the next few days, next few weeks, whatever, and we'll get a lot more answers out of devs. But I just sort of wanted to bring you guys a sort of first impression at all this stuff, just to give you a starting point for Warlords of Draenor beta and alpha and all the other jazz. So, big things. Cooldowns are gone. Specs are different. Survival's heading towards being a dot spec. Beast Mastery is about the pets. Marksmanship, we're not sure yet. Perks are good. Perks are fun. And, of course, stance dancing is done. It's gone, over with. We don't have stances anymore. We don't have aspects. It's gone. Anywho, appreciate you guys watching. Trying to get this out as quickly as possible, so hopefully you all are seeing this first impression very, very quickly. And then I'll, again, make another overrated this Saturday and get it out beginning of the week to talk about sort of the general changes for all classes. Maybe not all classes. I won't go class by class. I don't know them all deep enough. Maybe I'll touch on Paladin because I do know a bit about that one. But I will talk more about the general other features like garrisons and like other stuff that we've been talking about for a lot of times. A lot of the stuff in there was sort of no surprise if you've been sort of following the bits of beta information or Warlords information. Then there's a couple surprises in there too about stats and other things. So, interesting stuff. I'm really freaking excited. This is like, I'm geeking out on, hey, there's information, and we can start arguing about it, and we can start talking about it, and we can beg to be in the beta, and we can check stuff out and make videos and make comments and discussions, and we can be all wrong about it because it's going to all change by the time they get done with beta. But I'm happy. Let's keep this up. So, if you want to continue the discussion, you can either go to TankSpot or post comments below in YouTube. TankSpot, I'm going to be trying to hang out there quite a bit in this thread that this is posted on. So, hit me up there because hopefully we can get some cool discussion going in that forum. But other than that, post a comment in the YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. And yeah, fun stuff. Beta information. Yay! Warlords information. Anywho, this is your pal Pallie, and appreciate you guys listening. And please subscribe, like, and as I said, comment, because it's helping me out, and I'm really trying to produce these videos quicker, give a lot more commentary, sort of quick bang, here's some stuff. Yes, let's do it. So subscribe and like the videos, and this has been it for Overrated number 18. Have a good one, guys.